I'll take a quick look.
We're not on there yet.
It's not yet. It's refreshing here. And then we'll restart.
We're live. You can go.
Okay. Thank you all. I apologize for a couple minutes delay. We had some technical difficulty. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Howard Go Team meeting. We will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. I'm pleased to call this meeting of the Howard Go Team to order at 4:49 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. Would you do that?
Of course. Ms. Hollis?
Present.
Mr. Brooks?
Present.
Okay. Ms. Dion?
Present.
Mr. Griggs?
Here.
Dr. Bryant?
Present.
Ms. Sudi?
Yeah, present.
Mr. Langdon?
Present.
Present. Mr. Baker? And Ms. Rayner?
Present.
Okay.
Fabulous. Is there quorum? Yes, perfect. So since there's quorum present, we can move on to the action items. Our first action item is to approve the agenda that is posted. I have one update, which is a link at the very bottom to add, which is the item, let me see, the Go Team meeting, it is information item CBII, September 25th, 2025, Go Team meeting discussion. There's now a link to that I will add in there to make it a hyperlink. And then there's a document that I'm sure is going to come up that we'll add to meeting minutes when we talk about it.
Perfect.
Could I get a motion to approve the agenda with the amended item link? If nobody has any other additions or edits or corrections, then we will take a vote on, could I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Langby. All in favor?
Aye.
And we can't see your hands, Doug or Jenny, if you can just say aye, or maybe we can get them up there.
Aye.
Perfect.
Aye.
Thank you, Jenny. I see your hand. Perfect. Our next order of business. Oh, I'm sorry. Any abstentions? I think that was everybody in favor. Wonderful. So then we're going to next approve the meeting minutes as they were emailed. Are there any edits or additions? Could I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Josh. And a second? Thank you. And if we could vote on that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. I see your hand, Ms. Reiner and Mr. Brooks as well. So that is all in favor. No nays, no abstentions. So it was unanimous. The next item we have is our first public comment section.
There's no one signed up.
No one signed up. All right, so we will move to the discussion items. Principal Hollis, did you want to start off with that?
Sure. We are going over some things that was discussed at the G3 Summit. I am under the impression that a couple of the people from the team attended, so they can help us where myself and Diane might fall short. What we're trying to do is over the next couple meetings, we're going to develop the school strategic plan, and it's going to align better with what the district strategic plan is. And we are going to look at creating goals for 2030, not year by year. I do want to remind us we've been doing year by year because we were waiting for the district to approve their strategic plan, which was done, I presume, last year, towards the end of the year. And so now it's time for schools to do their 5-year plan. So Atlanta Public Schools 5-year plan is focusing on who we are and why we exist. And we exist to educate and empower Atlanta's students to shape their futures. And we're under a new vision, which is a community of believers getting back to the basics. And I have shared this with the GO team in our previous meeting. And this is nothing changed because it's a strategic plan. So this is going to be what it's going to be for the next 5 years. But I do want you to take notice of the red versus the black. So community of believers, where our strength is our team, our responsibility is shared, and our system is efficient and effective. Getting back to the basics, we are strengthening our instructional core. We are caring for every child, and we are sparking student curiosity. And then there are sub goals under there. Okay, I didn't want to just move without everybody having read because I did not print because I gave it out to everybody. Okay. All right, and so we are moving to what we're calling key performance indicators, but we also have goals. And on our previous strategic plan, we had goals as well. But where we had strategic priorities, we now have key performance indicators, okay? So, or how we look at the data is where the key performance indicators come in. But our strategic goals are, which we discussed last meeting, by 3rd grade, students will be performing proficient and above, and that will increase by 20 percentage points. By 8th grade in math, students will increase by 20 percentage points. And by 2030, there will be an increase in the percentage of students meeting at least one of the CCRPI college and career readiness indicators by 20%. Okay, these are the district's goals. And in order to determine if we are meeting those goals, we have created, or they have created, key performance indicators. Okay. So we're in the development stage, and in this stage, over the next couple of meetings, we're going to make sure that we align our mission and vision, which deals with our purpose and what we do, to some goals that we're going to set today. And what results do we want to satisfy these stakeholder needs? That's where the goals come from. And then the governance team works on the focus area, the objectives, and the key performance indicators, asking questions such as, what is our main focus for our work? What continuous improvement activities are needed to get these results? And how will we evaluate the performance and know if we're achieving those results? And then the school will determine the management side of things, which are the strategies and actions. Who will do what and by when? Going back to the mission, vision, and overall strategic goals, those are looking at, we are educating and empowering Atlanta students to shape the future through literacy, numeracy, and college and career readiness. When we look at governance, we're looking at, we are caring for every child and looking at what strategies we need to expand in order to reduce chronic absenteeism. That might be one specific goal. Hi, welcome. That is an example of a possible goal that we might determine today. And implementing multi-tiered systems of support would be an example of a strategy the school would implement in order to address attendance, because that's one of the levels of MTSS, in order to ensure that, for example, we're communicating with the parents of the students who are not attending school regularly and stressing the importance of attending school. So that's just an example of how this will work. So again, I've already stated these things. The GO team's focus is on governance. And the purpose of strategic planning in general is to cascade the district strategic plan to the school level while grounding our focus in the school's continuous improvement plan. This will create alignment, reduce confusion, and simplify our efforts, getting back to the basics. Our timeline is through 2030. And should be updated, approved, and ranked by January 2026, such that we will be able to use those in order to budget for school year 27. I'm going to assume no questions, so we're going to keep going. And what resources are we going to use in order to do this work? The school strategic plan that we previously had for many years. Then our continuous improvement goal plan, plan goals, which I have shared and are lifted there. And the school key performance indicators, which I have distributed out here.
And I
it's
just
a
want to
QR
add,
code.
they did mention to us at, because I asked that some of our subgroups aren't highlighted in here that have shown that they need some more lift or more assistance. So this is, we can work with the data team if there is an item on here that is not, if we need more items, if we want more data points for that matches our plan. We're not limited to these data points.
So the process is lifted there. We're going to review data and align our mission, vision, and purpose, confirm the goals and identify any additional goals, and then look at what our strategic objectives are. And in the end, we're going to confirm and prioritize the strategic plan. It will take multiple business meetings, as we've discussed. The first one we've already had, which is to review the first business meeting where we reviewed math and GMAT data from previous years, because we did look at trend data. And we did not look at CCRPI data, but we have in the past. We didn't look at it because the state has not released the information for this past year yet. And then this meeting, we're going to look at specifically aligning our mission, vision, and purpose and determining what our goals are. The next meeting, we will look at the strategic objectives, and then the final meeting, going into that budget allocation meeting, we'll be prioritizing the objectives that we come up with.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
On the school data sheet.
We're going to go into that.
Okay.
But
it was more a process question about the degree to which you had input.
None.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, these are all the same
This
for the
is-
entire district, KPIs. I'm sorry. if I didn't-
No, I think he's talking about the
The-
actual goal metric.
The red number. the
Right,
20%.
those
Oh,
were determined
yeah.
by the DIG team, the data information
Yes.
team. We had no input into which I assume cluster superintendent helped to identify what they were going to use, from my understanding, to track our performance
Mhm.
and to get into that goal. And then the DIG team determined those goal metrics.
We were told
in
these are all
red.
the same for all the middle schools.
They
That's
are
what I was
all the
stating,
same, yes, for every school. But the information listed there, the cluster superintendents and deputy superintendents that came up with those indicators. The red markings, which is what your question was, the DIG team did that.
Okay.
Yeah. My first time seeing it was all at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is what our key performance indicators look like, and some guiding questions are listed there for us to consider What do you notice? What do you wonder? Are we on track? Are there specific subgroup performance gaps outside of the instructional core? What could be an area of focus?
Is our enrollment number currently?
This is from last year's data,
Okay.
and that number for specifically this year is coming up on the principal's report.
As strength is the school climate's out of 5.
Only traditional school in Atlanta Public Schools that has
That's
a 5-star.
amazing. Yeah, for a middle
Thank you.
school, so
Yes.
that's a yay. And attendance, I mean, that's 90% is great.
We worked very, very hard.
I
The
know.
teachers can account for that. It was
Yeah.
shown to them every time we got together.
And we get extra points for having PBIS for climate, correct?
You do get extra points to the
extra 5
overall
points.
Oh,
score,
awesome.
but that does not necessarily get you to a 5-star rating.
Right, but that's something you've implemented that helps us getting to that
Correct.
climate rating, so that's really important. And then the other thing that we noticed is some of the data, if you look at the bottom, the asterisk data on the left as well.
Gotcha. But they don't,
So there's some
But they didn't
2024.
but they didn't, yeah. you
They
would think
did, it is
Oh,
in this
asterisk.
category column, I think.
they're-
There's only one beyond the core middle school that I think is asterisk. Oh, and school climate, those two are
The
asterisk.
enrollment was
Yeah, the
from
enrollment
2024 as well.
right?
And the,
Yeah.
they don't. So we did ask about that at that meeting.
Yeah, this is prior year data. And that's what we noticed. Like, even if you look at the milestone scores, is prior year data.
So something I noticed at the meeting was that some reports out of the strengthening our instructional core, since our schools' diversity does look different than a majority, I would say, of the middle schools. Like we may be missing some subgroups of data in this basic report. So they did, again, say that we could, Principal Hollis, if there's something that you're seeing in terms of a data point that we would like to add to our report that we get, or the staff has input or something based on what you're seeing with milestones or MAP or in the school, we are allowed to ask for additional data to add to this report for the cluster. So we're looking for your guys' input on that.
I think right now this is good for us to start on because this is the data points that we've been talking about in the meeting. It talks about students with disabilities, Black students, economically disadvantaged, and our English learners. So I think it does kind of address.
Well, it's only pulling milestones for which groups? So Black students, students with disability,
It has
economically but that's a different data point. It's not the same data point.
So the English learners is a little bit more complex to just pull straight data from, because if it's their first year in the state, it doesn't count towards the state milestones data, but you do have to do participation rates. And so getting that raw data without being able to extrapolate the students that don't count, I'm not sure if it's as useful as a metric on CPI. But
Could we ask and see what they have or how they could extrapolate that? Because I know that was one of our subgroups last year that was our lowest performing subgroup.
correct, they would not be able to necessarily extrapolate all those different particulars
We asked what they could extrapolate for a data point.
if you would like.
I don't
me
know
to.
what typical or high access student growth percentile is. With a typical or high access, do you know what that is defined? Does
The
anybody know that
access
definition?
test is, yeah, it's like the milestones for English language learners.
So do the teachers feel like that's a good test representation for?
That's what the state looks at.
Okay, it's down here. It's good. Okay.
That becomes a part of our CCRPI.
And that measures
It-
math, reading, what is it?
Speaking, oral language, written language is 5 categories. But they're all language
So there's no
based.
math.
Reading, no.
No, okay. So maybe we need some math data. Is that what you're saying for ELL?
I mean, last year, I remember it was our lowest performing subgroup. When we looked at MAP data, I think I can try and pull it up, but my Wi-Fi isn't working, so.
It is, but it varies dramatically. I mean, because it depends on the students.
and the timing of the year.
Well, the subgroup is the smallest subgroup, so I think like it's 27 students right now in that subgroup.
Across the whole school.
And that,
Across the whole school. And not all 27 are gonna count, but their access tests all count. And so therefore, it's hard to say, and it just varies year to year.
Well, maybe we can look at some access data and see what that looks like. I don't think we've ever presented that, or do you know when you? looked at that?
I've never presented access data. This will be the first time that it's been presented.
from what I understood a while back, it revolves too, so it's not always the
Yes.
same students being
No.
tested.
Once you test out, you're monitored.
Right,
So
okay.
once you get to
A
level
certain score,
5,
okay.
yeah. And it's not a set number of years.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take 5 years to get to
To
level
5,
5,
right.
right? So,
So I don't want you to be put on the spot, but I feel like you probably live and breathe and swim in this data all the time. And so I'm curious if there's anything in these results that you were surprised by, or you feel like are noteworthy relative to where things have been in the past.
I think most of the strengthening the core data we've discussed and I brought to everyone's attention. We don't necessarily go as deep in these conversations around the discipline data, looking at specific subgroups.
Yeah.
I think that the student staff relationships data point is
Yeah.
an interesting data point for the subgroup of students that we teach like middle school, because they're shifting, they don't really care about the adults' opinions as much. And so to look at that, they feel comfortable going to most or all. I think half might have been a really better metric, because if they feel comfortable going with half of their teachers, then I don't know, the teachers probably
Seen that
can.
number come up though, right?
It
That number
has
been
gone
growing,
up, yeah, but
We've seen positive growth there.
we've definitely seen
Right.
positive growth, but it definitely depends on the day that you take that climate, that's health survey from the state. So I just think that one is
Yeah.
interesting to me.
Hey, Alice, what about the staff engagement?
That's
What
the
is-
Q12 strengths questionnaire. It's like 12 questions,
Okay.
and those questions determine the engagement of the staff, and it has improved.
Okay,
It's like Gallup 12 questions
Yes.
of organizational effectiveness.
Yes.
Okay.
okay.
Do you have the materials you need? Do you have a best friend at
Clear
work?
expectations.
Got
Has
you,
someone
okay.
talked to me about my progress?
Yes, those are the questions.
Are you involved in like any other clubs and extracurriculars? or anything?
Those
No,
are not the
that
questions.
kind of
Nope,
engagement. Got
not
it.
at all.
Not like if you're
So
actually.
that's different than the survey that they take for the CCRPI?
Yes, they take the Georgia Health Survey for CCRPI. The Q12 is through Gallup.
There's a whole book series on it.
Okay,
So
Oh, I mean, it's definitely used across industries, across
Okay.
organizations.
so is that a good number for staff engagement? Like what's average? Or I guess, we don't know.
Maybe
I
we
think
could
it's
get some
average
longevity,
based
like see how things
on, it's
grow.
average based on industry,
Okay,
right? Because you know, different industries, it looks different.
right,
And what I've noticed over the years is that it differs by grade band.
okay,
So the numbers are really, really great for elementary. And it doesn't tend to be as high.
okay,
But there are different factors.
Okay.
Like it could be, like I said, do you have a best friend at work? Everybody scores low on that, then that takes down your staff engagement. Do you have the materials you need to be successful? Do you believe that everybody on your team is good at what they do? Those are questions that are being asked. So it definitely does depend on where you are in the
Got it.
continuum and who's being asked and what time of the year you
I was saying,
asked.
what time of day or which day? Yeah.
They used to do it twice a year.
Okay.
And now they only do it once a year in January after Martin Luther King holiday. They opened it up last year when we were out on a snow day. But we did get, and I think that is a skewed data point. In that you're not required to get everybody to participate. And traditionally, we're overachievers here at Howard. So everybody gives their answer. Yeah. And
a lot of
and that makes a difference when you make everybody do it versus the people who are really engaged, and those are the only people that do it, like, if you give choice.
A lot of org effectiveness work, one of the first data points to look at is what percentage of the staff took the survey. Because if like 30% of the staff took the survey, that of itself is an indicator.
Absolutely.
So having a high completion rate is good. But then you also get more data.
I get more data. And I mean, sometimes it is understanding the perspective in which you're supposed to answer.
Right.
So you're not answering how you feel about the district, you're answering how you feel about the school.
Right.
But some of those things, like, do you have the materials, is a district-based question.
Right.
So it has some areas, but all of the indicators either improved or stayed about the same, except for one.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm happy to send out like a simple Gallup article or something like that, just for informational purposes, if people want to learn more about the questions.
I have some historical data, like 3 years ago, I did a records request on some data prior to your being here, like district-wide data. We can ask for that too.
Yeah, because to get it to go up 14 points.
It's a large ask.
Yes, and so knowing that we both, I mean, not both, but
I do think that some of that, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't know how much the person from the DIG team that created these 2030 goals are familiar with.
what that actually is. And then
Right.
Okay.
So
I was like, that's a large 14 points.
it really is.
Yeah.
And to his point, you don't really know which one you need to go up to get the engagement of the staff to go up.
Yeah.
We really did a large leap in, as someone asked about
Your
progress at work, and
someone seems to care about you.
yeah, that one didn't take a large leap. The one that somebody seems to care about the work that you do, those indicators took large leaps. The indicator with, did someone give praise? Your manager, somebody,
last week.
That was not a huge jump.
Yeah.
But that's also person dependent, because the question asks if you're manager or someone. And so if you're more focused on the manager and not someone, then that changes your answer perspective.
Great. You have a larger body of people to get to, and some schools don't. So yeah, got it.
I feel like the family engagement data point is something also worthy of our focus, and the 56.8 is a number we could work toward improving. And then I was just struck by the 2030 enrollment goal of 900.
Well, that
Considering
deals
where-
with that has
considering where we are
everything
right
to
now.
do with the facilities
Facility
master
plan,
plan.
right.
That's
Okay.
what they said you need as a middle school.
Okay.
To be an effective program-based middle school. That's it.
Okay.
That's really not,
And to
there's
get
nothing I can do about
We
it.
don't need to lose kids.
maximal funding
Gotcha.
from the state.
Okay.
You
to
need
unlock.
at least.
I did get
Thank you
at
for the
the,
clarity.
It wasn't 900. It
at
was
the
lower than
session,
that.
at the work session, I
Was
gave
800?
feedback on this format.
Yeah.
And that I thought there's certain data points that are within the school leadership's control and
Yeah.
some are more informational
Yeah.
and on radar, like enrollment. And that you should maybe differentiate the way those are presented. For sure.
So that's if, again, we wanted to add something, or if we thought there was something, or if you thought there was something more that you were looking at or a goal.
I think that the family engagement response is also a thing because I want to say we had 175 out of all of our families to
Oh,
actually
wow.
do that
Yeah.
survey, but no one's ever giving any indication that that data point was going to be shown
Right.
You would've
publicly in
pushed
this
it
way.
harder,
This is
yeah.
the first time it's ever.
So that could swing a
So,
lot
Sean.
with a
And
larger.
that
Could.
will be easy to get to then, that 60, because if you get more people, because.
Which family engagement survey is that? Is that,
It's the districts.
is that the, okay. And,
It was also in January, right?
I feel like all of them was around the same time.
yeah, so
Well,
they
this,
hit
we
us
sent
with
out the
like 4
state
surveys.
one
right,
and the
okay.
family engagement one wasn't, if it wasn't January, was it far behind it? Might have been November. Is that the family engagement month? It might have went out in November and closed in January.
We had a couple that hit. It's
At
like
the
we
same
were
time.
surveyed out.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's like, so I remember the data team last year was trying to figure out, and Dr. Johnson, like, which surveys are we going to continue with? Which surveys are we
Mhm.
not? What data points, like in building this out to kind of streamline that a little bit more, because you were getting a survey, I feel like every 2 to 3 weeks.
And that was hard, I think, for the families too. Like, sometimes I would be like, well, I think I took this.
Right.
Like,
Especially
but-
because the family engagement survey is gonna ask similar questions
Right.
to the Georgia Health
Right,
Survey.
right.
And because they did it in the same window-ish of time, that could have been confusing. But I put more stock in the state one. And if I would have known we were gonna start pushing out key performance indicators, then maybe I could have pushed the other one. I don't know.
I mean, one other thing I did is I just kind of looked at recognizing that there's been no input on these red numbers of the targets, right? But what was the district or the DIG team saying? Either because they think they need it for the district or because of where they think there's room for improvement. Where were they looking for the biggest gains? And there were 3 KPIs that have above 20% gains that they're looking for by 2030. One is proficiency of Black students on milestones. One is proficiency of economically disadvantaged students on milestones. And the third is students feeling comfortable going to most or all adults. So like that kind of made me think, well, this is what the district is implying. Either they think we need to work on or where they think there's the most room for opportunity. We may have more context about what, right, like what
Right.
that all means, but that was one way that I kind of like reverse engineering from the numbers they gave us around how we might look at it too.
And I don't know, we have a folder with all of them in it that I think Ms. Jacoby sent, so you can look at other schools. They didn't tell us if those percentages were across every single middle school, every single elementary school.
They
correct?
said they were intentionally different
Mhm.
because
It's
based on-
all the schools
yeah.
need to make different progress
Okay, I
for the
missed that
district
part.
to make progress. Yeah.
Yes, that is true.
Okay.
In the strengthening the instructional core. I
Right.
can't speak to these
Right.
others because I don't know. Like I said, the school climate and the family engagement survey, those are just trickier surveys. And then to point out, it's over 5 years.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Click next. So the other data point that I wanted to bring up, because we're supposed to use all data and not just
Mhm.
the KPIs. So as always, I brought back the EOG data because that's how the state does its report card on us for CCRPI. The reason why you don't see the number of students tested in here is because that's not how it's presented in the platform. So we had to like count the number of kids in each category, and so that's what the number is at the bottom.
Okay. So those are the kids who took the test.
In 2025, yes.
2025. Okay.
So we've seen this data before. This is not new data. But I think the number of students tested may be new.
So the sixth graders in 2025 were the kindergartners in 1920.
2020.
No.
1920.
Oh, school year.
in-
Oh, no.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
I wasn't around.
Because Kayla's
Not
first
1920.
grader.
You mean
No,
2020?
2019, 2020.
Okay,
19.
you said 19.
Last year. I'm sorry.
We like thinking year.
19 dash, like the years.
That's the
Sixth graders last.
Sixth grader, is this 2025 last?
Sixth graders this
When-
year are
when
the ones that were
1920
kindergarten in 19.
This is
in
20 I'm sorry, yeah.
2019
So
because
these
my
were the-
child was in
like-
pre-K in that
This is the
year.
first graders,
They
so
were-
yes,
2025
these are first
sixth
grade.
graders here. are first
No,
graders.
no, these are,
This
The-
is end of grade, so it's last year's, it's last.
Right,
school
so
year.
last year,
Yes.
the
Last
20
year's
Yes.
sixth graders were
Yes.
first grade when
Yeah.
COVID hit.
yes.
Okay.
We agree with that.
that, in 1920, the
First and
2025 kids were
Okay.
in, for sixth grade there, were in first grade.
Correct.
So, okay.
And the eighth,
Third grade.
fourth grade.
That's Cole's class. If the sixth graders were in first grade, then the eighth graders were in third grade.
In the spring of
Mm-mm.
2020, the eighth graders last year,
Yeah.
or spring of
Yes.
2020,
That's
third
5-year
grade.
difference.
We're in third grade. That's Cole's
I
class.
thought it was in
And
third
Maya's
grade.
class.
I thought she was in fourth grade when it hit.
No, first and third,
It was just the last quarter of third grade,
right,
but then
Right.
most of fourth grade.
the following.
That might be why KQ
Okay,
don't know.
so because the first grade, the 2025 class of sixth graders came in doing
That's
better
right.
than the previous 2 years.
That's right.
So
The who?
the sixth
Yeah,
grade
sixth
class,
2025, yeah.
Yes. Because they would have been in first grade, so they would have came back full school third grade, which was the year they had to
And they had
read.
sort of learned, started to learn to read. instead.
all right.
But their third grade year, we also weren't required to take a test that year too.
Right.
Third or fourth.
I think it
Fifth
was,
was.
the 2021 was not required to come into Howard and take the class.
That's what I said. Their
Yeah.
third grade year and
Right.
fourth grade year, they
Yeah.
didn't. Fifth grade year, they did.
Okay.
One other thing, when I look at this and I try and thread cohorts,
That's what I'm looking at.
it does, I'm painting with a really broad brush stroke, but it does seem like there's a leap of improvement from seventh to eighth grade. And there's not really much improvement from sixth to seventh.
I think we've seen different leaps like that because we spoke to it last year. Like, is there something that changes? And did one of you guys say that, well, not you, that some years our review, like are more heavier review, or Principal Hollis, did you say that? Because we saw some similarities.
I think it was also, we had mentioned that sixth grade was being acclimated to, like, weren't we saying there's more discipline problems in sixth grade and?
No.
No.
Seventh grade
Got
the hard
you.
year.
is the year that is definitely harder in math
Okay.
because that's when you do more geometry and that's when they start doing things that's like spatial reasoning,
Okay.
things that they don't do prior to. And they're like really required to understand it. Fifth to sixth grade ELA, they don't do argumentative essays. They did opinion essays. And that's a huge difference between doing the argumentative or giving your opinion in an essay. That was in the old standard. So these new standards, that's not the case anymore. They'll be doing peer reviewed in sixth and seventh. And then in eighth grade, they'll just be doing an essay. They're not segregating it in that way.
So that's hard to, so when was the 2020, I'm sorry, when was the ELA curriculum change? That was 2020.
Now,
This year.
This is the first year?
correct.
Okay. Okay, standards and, oh, I'm sorry, I meant standards. Standards changed this year as well. And then
That was-
math changed it.
2022.
Math changed
23.
Right?
23, 24.
Yeah.
Was the first year.
So looking at data across two, you're not always comparing apples to apples if you go back too far.
For this one, you
This
are.
one's apples
This
to
one.
apples.
When you get to math, it's not.
I think the thing is, right, like if you look at that 23 sixth grade to 24 seventh grade to 25 eighth grade, right, it's kind of like flat and then dropped. And if you look at 23rd seventh grade to 2024 eighth grade, it drops in terms of the low performing and increases in terms of high performing. And then say like each thread, I did 3 threads and all 3 threads, it was
Yeah.
consistent of like big improvement in eighth. Not much, not really improvement or stagnant. Not like backsliding either, but stagnant between 6th and 7th. But I'm just curious, is that something?
That we've noticed?
Yeah.
Yes. Since I've been here.
Yeah.
Because you remember my experience is high school.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak beyond the years that I've been here
Sure.
as to whether or not this is a normal trend. But I can agree that it's been a trend since I've been here.
But you also have different resources that are being used from year to year. So you might see this year, oh, they decided no more textbooks, you're going to this. And then that evolves in how the kids.
But I think I would have
process as
expected
well.
that to then play through. That'd be like a year by
Right,
year,
yeah, you
right?
would-
Not a thread. So you would expect it to be the same. So it's just a noticing,
Yeah.
right? Like where it would make me curious about like,
What's happening?
why might that be, right? Like, and is there a way to continue, like accelerate? the improvement?
I mean, when I ponder about it, I wonder if it is because the emphasis is on math in 7th grade that it doesn't have as much push.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm maintaining, but it's very interesting while it is showing somewhat flat. I am not getting, oh, my child performed much better in one versus another. Like if they perform, they
Yeah.
perform. They don't kind of thing when it gets to 7th grade. But I also think most hormones start changing 2nd semester, 6th grade. And so now they're full-fledged in it. And then 8th grade, it calms down a little bit. By 10th grade, they're normal again, you know? And so I do think that plays a role because you're trying to convince them to work. You're trying to convince them to do the same things that they've been doing all this time, and your normal metrics don't necessarily work. What does work is my peer group giving me that pressure,
Sure.
which is why the accelerated move forward and others maybe not so much.
Yeah. And I wasn't saying it as like, I'd expect an answer, right?
No, I mean,
but
I've
I appreciate
pondered
the
the same,
curiosity,
yeah.
right? Like the sitting with the questions and wondering is almost seems more important to me than like having a confident answer that could be totally wrong, right?
Right.
Like-
And I do think that the confident answer, if there was one answer to it,
Right. Silver bullet.
I probably wouldn't
Wouldn't
be
that
here.
be
'Cause I would be going around and touring to tell everybody the what. So this is the math. The number of students tested is there. You can see it's about the same number of students tested. And you can see the split that you were discussing with the standards changes in the algebra piece because it was 2 different titles.
– 2024 is when the new standard started.
23,
For math.
24.
23 to
Mhm.
24, that's cool.
How different is that class, Algebra 1 compared to Algebra Concepts and Connections? Is it a lot less content, or is it just very? Because that's
I don't, it's the same.
essentially.
Geometry is different, but algebra, I didn't really see much change. Yeah, geometry is where they started doing a little bit more, like they start unit circles now, when that used to be a pre-cal.
We had 50 more kids last year take the end of course.
And we had
Mhm,
even
we
more this
did.
year.
That's
So I
great.
was wondering if, the increase in the number of algebra students has exacerbated kind of the achievement gap or pushed.
Well, that would suggest you have 1 year of data to say no. We have 50 more students and our proficiency is higher with the.
And the end of grade data is
All.
all. Yeah, I guess we don't have this breakout by demographics, or we don't have it right now. We have it
You provided it to us last meeting. right?
last time, yeah. But I think that I like this, like the idea that like higher expectations can lead to higher results.
I definitely think that that is truly shown itself to be the case in 8th grade.
The hormones still play. 7.
I mean, the first year that we took the test, through my whole full year of being here,
Mhm.
we had 8% beginning in ELA. Last year, both math and ELA, 11% beginning.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that higher expectations have shifted that. Their current 8th grade year has been the cohort of concern since I've been here. I don't know a nice way to say it. Science and social studies, I didn't out there this.
Can I ask from an academic or behavioral or all of the above? When you said cohort of concern.
Academic
Mhm.
more than behavior.
They were in 2nd grade when we first left school, so they missed part of their 2nd grade, 3rd grade. I still think like that is just those kids losing a large chunk of their elementary school structure and coming to school every day. It was a lot.
I also think there are other things at play too, because during that developmental time, they started learning empathy, compassion.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And those things
socialization.
are all missing.
Yeah.
If you interact with last year's 8th graders to like this year's 7th graders, this year's 6th graders, it feels a little different. And I think next year's 6th graders will feel completely different
yeah.
because they were in
Yeah.
pre-K. They came back first.
Yeah.
And then the next year will be like, oh, this is a normal child.
Back to normal.
Yeah. Pending nothing else crazy happens.
Yeah.
So half of our 8th grade students on that bottom right, half of our 8th grade students take middle school science and half take high school science. Is that approximately?
Yeah, a little bit over half took high school last year.
That's awesome.
And that would make sense if we have, I know some kids can queue in that aren't gifted and talented, but with a number of 52, 50, over 50. So that shows that they're able to access that if they meet that criteria.
Yep.
And can I mention something about the math data on the previous slide?
Which data?
The math data, approximately, I think 48% or so of our 8th graders last year took algebra. So, but we had 55% of 8th graders in the distinguished. So we had about 30 to 35 math 8 students who weren't in algebra that also got distinguished on top of our algebra community and our algebra students. So it's quite impressive.
Yeah, that's great.
So now it's time for us to align our mission and vision. I feel bad with our Zoomers because we didn't engage with y'all. Did y'all have anything to say about the data?
Don't feel bad. It was good to listen to everything. It was really good points.
Okay, just checking. We didn't forget.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. So now we're going to determine if we would like to update our school's mission, vision, or purpose statements. We don't have a purpose statement. And use these next slides to do that.
You drafted that at the last.
I did, and so it is there. And we said we were gonna kind of think about it.
At the G3 summit, in case it's helpful, part of what they said essentially was like, you can choose to just use the districts if you want. Just to keep things, feel strongly that there's something unique about your school that you want to have represented in your vision and mission. You can have one. Likely a modified, look at what you used in the past. So I don't have any historical context, so I don't have a personal attachment to what was.
You know, I don't.
Okay. So I think that to me is like the first question is like, do we think
Should we go back to the district one? And
the district ones, right? The
Okay.
black and red is how they don't use
that's
they don't
always-
use the word mission and vision anymore. They're saying that who we are and why we exist has replaced the district vision and mission.
okay.
So
The staff and the
I am
school created
okay
these
with-
drafts, correct, of the mission and vision?
no.
Oh, I thought-
Me and the instructional support team.
Okay.
Yeah. I can go either way. I will say that in the lens of trying to move towards STEAM certification, you must have a STEAM mission and vision, according to the state of Georgia. Unless they change that lovely multi-page document. So we could eliminate it and shift this work more to STEAM. I don't know. It's your choice.
I personally like us having our own mission
And I
and
really-
vision because I feel like that
More personal.
it's, yes.
And I like that it includes like the inclusive community and the rapidly changing world. APS is very general. But I like what you guys have
Intentionally,
created.
because we're getting back to the basics.
Sorry, back to the basics.
Yeah.
But I love the mission and vision you guys have already created. And
We did
good
try
with
to
that.
streamline, it was longer. We
Yeah.
tried to bring it in, focus a little bit more, and then think about where we are as a school now and where we are as a society, because the things that we were talking about 2 years ago versus the things we're talking about now. Will go out on us. It's changing. I think she tried to use the
Oh, it had been charging.
charger and it wasn't letting us hear. So we'll see if that was just a warning. Can you still hear us? Can you hear us? Zoomies.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
good. Okay.
I think she took the wire with her.
We're gonna just keep going because we
Okay.
can't go too much longer anyway.
Right.
So it sounds like this sounds good for now.
Yeah, the mission and vision you guys have there is perfect.
Okay. And there you go. And so now we're looking at the goals. And what you'll see here are the school's continuous improvement goals. Notice that is 1 year because that's what we were tasked to do over the summer.
Right.
And since it's a continuous improvement goal, we continuously update it. Right? Your goals are supposed to be for 5 years. And based on what we've discussed, if there's a 4th goal that we want to add, we can choose to add it or keep it at 3 goals. So the goals that we have for the continuous improvement plan for the school is focused around literacy, numeracy, and for whole child, we looked at chronic absenteeism As you noted earlier, we got up to 90% for our CCRPI attendance. And the goal is to stay there and try to push some of our subgroups to come more frequently to school. And we're
And according to this, they
Yeah.
want us to push it up by 3.8 points.
To 94%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the state of Georgia says anything 90 and above remains 90 and above, you get that check mark.
It's an A.
But if you would like to make the schools go, I mean,
That's in
the
2030.
strategic
So
plan
these are
for
the
2030,
This one is 2030. Oh,
Are we
you
not
meant-
doing the 2030?
yes,
Yeah.
we are, but I was just saying, the reason why mine would just say 90 and above,
Okay.
because the way that they look at it from a CCRPI perspective,
So we don't need to put in these goals then?
which one,
The
no,
district
you
goals
can
that
put
we
whatever
put in.
you want.
Okay.
Or
Even
we
though
can
this
put
is
in
their
whatever we want,
goal
even
for
though it
2030.
is
Okay.
here. These are the indicators that they look at that might not be what we want to focus on.
Perfect.
That's what.
It should inform the decision.
Got it.
That sound like little Travis, don't I? So what say you? What are you thinking?
So should we just hit plan goal number 1 for the 2030?
Sounds great.
do it.
So the ELA will increase by, we need an overall and then subgroups. How does everybody like the wording on that? I mean,
You
it's,
don't have to keep this wording.
Yeah, my quick take on the overall frame is ELA math probably seems right still,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
with a
That's-
particular focus on the subgroups
Right.
and closing some gaps relative to what we see in the data. And I think there's an opportunity to maybe swap out this third if we think that like we're gonna
Are we
stay
gonna make
like we've hit 90%. And I think it depends on whether we think it's going to take a lot of work to stay above
I think
90%,
so, right?
or
We worked
whether we
hard.
think
Yeah,
We worked on
yeah,
it.
yeah. Or y'all did,
Okay.
yes.
but
yeah.
but you
But to
mentioned
see
with
if-
academic data that you have mentioned historically when we talked about closing the gap on math and ELA for some things that we have an attendance concern with kids that we're trying to close the gap on. So it's really the subgroups that we need to shift, from my understanding, if I understood you correctly, to help us get to the subgroup goals for math and ELA. We got to get kids in seats here at school to make the gains
Consistently.
consistently.
Right.
So that's why it's like the attendance goal is the why or the how potentially
To get those.
to get to those two.
But if you, or in addition, if you want to create another goal, then that's where that fourth
For number
goal
4.
could come
Yeah.
in at.
I think the thing that was going through my head was like, if we feel like we're getting kids to school pretty frequently now, or more frequently than we were in the past, then the next level is part of what was showing up with the KPIs is the student engagement once they're here,
Right.
Yeah,
right? And they're trusting of adults.
right.
So
and whether-
trusting adults and student engagement are two different
I think he's talking
paradigms.
about that student-staff relationship.
I understand that. I'm still saying it's still two different things.
Where I think maybe our fourth goal could maybe do something with culture and climate, just
From
because
teachers and
teachers,
staff.
yeah, because we haven't.
I'm
included
sorry,
a
and
teacher.
students? Maybe there could be a subgroup student goal somehow, a teacher goal.
Yeah, just because there
Only
has to
reason
be.
why I said
something to-
something different is because the question itself is talking about feeling comfortable asking for help. Help
Yeah.
does not necessarily mean academic help.
Yeah.
And so
It's
therefore.
about safe and
yeah,
inclusive.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I don't necessarily know if
Which one to focus on?
if it is really just like a direct correlation between the rest. But if that's what the focus is, then that's the focus, what the focus is.
Yeah, I think the argument about there is something underneath the headline data of attendance that we really need to pay attention to, that makes sense to me and resonates. I wouldn't want to lose that then by saying, oh, the target's 90%.
We've hit it.
and
We're
then
done.
We haven't really actually done the thing
I think once we do
underneath.
it consistently,
Yeah.
years
I
in a
think that's what
row, yeah.
makes me
Because
nervous about taking
Joshua,
it off. It's
last
been
year
a
was
year.
lot
Right.
for them to try to
Yeah.
hit that.
It's a year, and then middle school,
Yeah.
you only have them for 3 years. So even if you're trending, get to 3 years, so the 8th graders are gone. Those are the ones you had in 6th grade when you started. So it's a new group of people that
Right.
you're trying to do the same targeted focus on. So I don't really know, but year one's on. It's done.
Yeah, yeah.
And Jenny has something to chime in.
Go
to
ahead.
say.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I agree. If we were going to add a 4, I liked the throwing around of the culture or the comfortable. But it doesn't seem from the conversation previously that the survey really captures that. Like it just, the questions seem a little, hard to indicate what's what. And so I would hate to add that and then not really have a true indication if we got to our goal or not.
I mean, and then to add to your point, right? To have the 45.2% based on the question chosen in that set of questions, but then still have a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
That means there's some other questions that they felt may
More
have been more comfortable, right? And so maybe looking at all the questions to see if that's the best of the questions. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think
Um,
about safety perception? Like around that instead? And again, I don't have a middle schooler, so just in general, I know safety is always a big deal. And that one, I don't know what questions are asked, but that would kind of include how children feel at school and
And I do want to kind of level set too. That was literally the first year that the questions were asking that way for this health survey. So
Okay.
they changed the survey and this is how the questions were asked. So we really only have one
Consistent
data
data is not
point
gonna be-
on
okay.
that question specifically again.
And we don't even know if they're gonna use that same question.
Well, we do know they're gonna, last I heard,
Okay,
they are,
But
but
we need
then
this for,
this
like, the next 5
year,
years.
yeah, I think you need more to know, oh, is this the question we're gonna use?
right.
Because it was the first time that question was asked that way.
What if we use the CCRPI, like when you look at that online, for the climate rating, there's 5 subsections: survey, discipline. Survey is student, teacher, parent.
Mhm.
Then there's discipline, which is weighted suspension rate. Then there's safe and substance-free learning, several items in there, attendance and additional concerns. But there are 3 data numbers for the survey for the student, teacher, and parent. What if we use those numbers does that make sense? Because those are the numbers that are added in to get the climate rating.
And it covers the discipline, the safe and
No, there's a survey though, is
Okay.
what I'm saying, when you're looking, when it's,
So it's the same survey.
Okay.
It's just compiling the questions dealing with that topic to get that score from that same survey. we're
but it's,
talking about.
Got you.
it's the score. So our student score is 69.9, our teacher staff is 77.32, and our parent is 68.63. And somebody mentioned getting more parents involved, pushing them to this survey. I mean, it's a data point that the state offers, and that could continue to help. Even though we're a 5, we're at a 90. That plays into our CCRPI. It's something that's
Yeah.
another data point that's remaining consistent that we could use for that
4th goal.
4th goal.
Yeah.
That's set by the state.
I mean, I want to be clear, I'm not trying to advocate strongly about anything, right?
No, I think it's
I don't want to feel
good.
like you're trying to solve anything for me, but I do think that, like, if I were to ask myself, what would take a good school like Howard to a great school, right? Like, to the next level of breakthrough, certainly continue to pay attention to academic excellence, right? And continuing the path that we've been on of progression, paying attention to the gaps in those places, particularly racial gaps and ELL and economic disparity. Getting kids to school sounds like it's really critical, right? Like, and then it's kind of like, is that it? Is that what we want at the headline level? That could be it, right? Or do we feel like there's something else we need to have at that headline level, which gets at
Culture and
the language and the mission of inclusive culture,
Inclusive culture, yeah.
students being empowered.
I think that,
And I honestly don't feel super strongly. I could say, like,
I
sometimes
can
folks,
argue different
right,
things.
sometimes
Yeah.
focus is better, right? Like, so
Right.
if we just have three,
Right.
that makes things.
But
a
we
lot
had
easier.
it, we had an
I feel
engagement goal last year and you work hard on engagement and she's brought that to the school and we've gotten good feedback on that. It looks like, I think there's some room that we can continue to work on it.
Right.
But I do think that if you say, I come to school because I'm engaged and I have teachers that care about my learning, then I think that goes back to attendance in a generic way, which is
You want
what
to
you're
be-
saying, but there are indicators that help you to kind of dive into attendance, which is culture, teacher engagement, student engagement. So I see what you're saying, but I can argue either way. So
Yeah.
I'm
I guess
just
with
here
this,
to give
it was
input.
more teacher and parent involvement, because we don't have them in the other three. Or do we even? Not that we don't care. Do, like,
Maybe in order to get the whole climate of the school.
yes, to get the entire. Or are we just more focused on students, which is fine too?
I think there's more to be said for the simplicity.
I
You know, they gotta
do.
read,
The
write,
school
and
continuous improvement goals. I'm here to help guide you on the other, but I don't have an opinion one way or another. Because I mean, I think like that's been said before, we can argue that when the parent is engaged and themselves, then they ensure that the student is here and getting what they need. Like, I think you can argue either way.
Yeah.
It's just
Agreed.
what you want to focus on. And then you can always ask for data to support whether or not we feel like we're moving towards the goal.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the goal itself.
I'm curious, I'm just like conscious to like airtime and how much my voice and other parent voice has been in the room. So I'm curious to hear from the faculty, right? Like Dr. Bryant and so on that. Like, Nona. what
I
do you guys
appreciate the narrowed focus and the three that we've established already. My kind of feeling is that if you're focused on, inclusivity and academic excellence for all students, then in each of those three, we're focusing on the subgroups, which is trying to include everybody within the growth. And do you have anything to add, Dr. Bryant?
No, the only thing I was gonna, it's just the makeup of the PRI and making another goal based upon that. We already have it already embedded into the attendance, and when they do send out those surveys, a lot of the data is going to be captured anyway. So I'm just looking at, I just think we'll keep it very simple and just look at the CCRPI. And if we want to break out the data, we could do the same thing even when those numbers come out. We can still work those numbers out.
And we could focus on three today, and I could send you guys out the questions that are on the three surveys for the staff, the students, and the parents for CCRPI, and you can review them, and then we can,
Or the Georgia Health.
for the one that's used for CCRPI.
The Georgia Health. Survey.
Yes, if that's what they're calling it today, yes.
And that's
what
the
it's
one you were
called.
pushing, right?
That's the one that matters most to
Most of
me.
you, okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
that
If it
impacts
goes
our-
to the state.
So
Yeah.
we could work on these three today and see if we could finalize them. It's 5:57
Yeah,
now.
we just need to
I
stick
don't
with
know if
those
we're
three.
actually going to
Okay.
be able to do that because we have it, as long as we have time to do other stuff. So we're gonna probably have to extend this meeting today. I'm just gonna let you know that. And then I can send you this out on the 4th and you guys can look at the survey. Does that sound good? Okay, so let's try to put in our numbers. Is that what you're wanting? Or do they just,
If you're gonna use this the way that it's written right now, yes, or you can write it your own way. It doesn't matter.
okay.
But we do have to change by spring 2026.
No, this is
Those are-
continuous improvement goals. Those are
Oh,
school
okay.
goals.
Oh,
You're down
okay,
here.
I got you, I got you,
Mhm.
okay, I got you, okay.
You
So we're
should
looking-
use that
Okay.
to inform,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it does not have to be exact.
Yeah, okay,
So this is 5-year data.
yeah,
And they were wanting a 20% increase with each one, and that's why you made it 5% for the SIP, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Are they expecting us to get to 98 percentile proficient or above in 5 years?
I mean, Summit,
I don't.
this is just.
I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you what they
And we're
expect.
supposed to do SMART goals, right? They have to be realistic.
They have to be
Well,
realistic.
I remember that you,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
you had told us
Yeah.
that that's why you were given 5%.
We were
for this
given
year,
5% because when you look at the districts,
2030.
2030, that's 20%,
We've
and
done
we all have
three
to
in the
do that.
past,
So,
right?
Right.
3 is
So
more
maybe-
statistically
Yeah.
reasonable.
Exactly.
so how about if we propose to do a work session? Everyone go and think about this, what we're looking at right here. We propose a work session and we do not extend tonight. So everyone can kind of look at the goals, look at numbers that they think would be appropriate. Does that make sense? Rather than spend the time here thinking and processing. Jenny, what do you think about that?
I mean, I'd like to hear Principal Hollis's thoughts on what she thinks is fair. I don't know.
You want to set up tonight?
That's what I want, but that's just me.
Perspective, I do not think 5%, like to get to that
It's a lot.
20%, I think that's excessive when we're already at 73% overall. It would be great to get to 90,
Right.
but then we're competing with like some of the, schools that get to choose who enters their doors, right? And that is not our story. So that is kind of where my stance is. I do think it would probably, if we're going to aim for an 85 to 90% goal overall, then so would it be best to not do an overall goal, and the overall goals are the subgroups versus having so many?
That was my thought, because if you focus on the subgroups, that's gonna lift your overall rate up, and that's where the focus needs to be, apparently.
And teachers tell us, you guys are in there doing the work, so what is attainable?
I mean, 5 years is hard because those kids aren't, the 20, 30
Yeah,
kids aren't even in the
Right.
building.
Never met them.
Yeah.
So, and considering where our numbers are, I feel like something like a 2% annually for like a total of 10%, or 3% annually for 15 would be.
Yeah.
Where
Are you
I would-
talking overall or what numbers? Because you were just talking subgroups. Now, are you talking overall or are you talking
I think
subgroups?
subgroups.
You think with the subgroups, Black will increase by 5% from 36. So you think a 2% gain 1 year
Or 3%.
is at 30?
I think it's more realistic.
You just do that every
attainable.
year.
Right, every year.
consistently.
So that's why you said 10 to 15%.
Cumulative.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
At least.
Right.
Yeah, for sure,
So
yeah.
then you give yourself.
Absolutely, at least 3%, or at least. And then, I mean, maybe it's 2% 1 year, and then 4% the following year, and then, 3%. So you're shooting for an average of.
But the top line that the district, and I go back to this, what the district was asking, without all the context, was for 13.3% math improvement on proficiency and above over the 5 years. Which that's between 2 and 3 a year.
Mhm.
But then when they broke it down, for example, for Black students, 26%.
Yeah, I don't, is that for math score? Do you guys know if this is, the
I think
Black
it's for
students, is that
math,
for math
right?
only, or is that
Yeah.
across all milestones? Does the subgroup breakout, bro?
I understood its category was math.
Math only?
Yeah, and that's why I was like, we don't have ELA, correct? On
No,
this?
Because
Because it doesn't line up with
the district's
No, they didn't.
numeracy goal is based on middle
8th grade
school.
math. And their literacy goal is based on 3rd grade reading.
Got it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's where it's tricky, because for
Mhm.
Black students, 26 points. And then, I don't know, I guess, do we every subgroup or just do overall 10 to?
So I think that means you should probably go back to the trended data that I showed last meeting, because we've gotten closer. Like last year's percentage was higher than this year's percentage.
I do feel like, in the spirit of like celebrating, I do feel like we've got the right goal areas based on the conversation we've had, right? And so there's some work to do to figure out the targets that we want to set numerically in relation to those goal areas. But like, it does seem like we've narrowed in those goal areas. We've narrowed in that subgroup focus and talking about the numerical results that are really going to matter. And then what is the actual numbers? I think we shouldn't pressure ourselves to set those right this minute, to your point earlier, Dion, and
Come with the number of students.
do
we're gonna- yeah.
do a little bit of math and things between now and then.
I think we can set goal 3 though.
Yeah, let's keep it at 90.
Sounds great.
But we need to
What
set
about
our
what about the
subgroups.
subgroups?
I think that you look at the Hispanic subgroup, that's almost at 90 anyway.
Yeah.
So that can be eliminated, and then you can just focus on Black subgroup, and you can do the 2 to 3% anyway for that. If you did 2 to 3%, you're gonna get
Close to 90.
close to 90 anyway.
Or do we want to keep the Hispanic subgroup in there and celebrate when we get to 90?
That's fine too, but I just think that's when we can
I
check
think
out the
that-
box
I
and we
think
just do the other 2.
Yeah, and then we're not trying to shoot for 90 for one subgroup.
Honestly, I think no matter whether you have a work session or more time, if you're going between 2 and 3, that was set as 5 for every group.
Mhm.
And as long as you say at least 2%, I think you're still looking at a victory overall. You know,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
everybody would be.
I mean, I will say, I would want to sit with the 2 to 3 and using that language on the subgroups.
So how about I rewrite those with the 3%,
Okay, and
and then the next meeting, when we get to the other stuff anyway, then we would start with this anyway. So you wouldn't need a work session. It would be drafted at 3% per year,
Per year.
15% total.
And I think it should be the greater percentage when
I
the
said
scores
15.
are
Yeah.
3% lower, because then it should be easier to make larger gains, 3 versus 2. I know it's not a lot, but does that make sense? When you're at a lower percentage proficiency, you should be able to make larger
There's
growth.
more
It-
opportunity.
it's
for
more
improvement,
opportunity.
right?
You're saying as we
Theoretically,
get
you-
to
it
it,
shouldn't
the
be,
percentage
it shouldn't be
Yeah,
flipped the
so
other way.
let's just
I would
do
say
3% sub goals and subgroups. Do we want to keep the overall?
Yearly.
mhm.
We would be at
Should we do
89,
overall?
we would be at an 89% for attendance for Black, yeah, okay. I'm sorry?
No, we were saying for those 2.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
we still want to keep the overall? Yes, no.
Let's-
I personally like overall because we have, I think that's important. And the reason why I think that's important is because I think that during COVID, when there was a focus only on the children who met a certain criteria, there was a lack of focus on the rest, and they were just put on computers. And you saw their scores dramatically drop.
So for the overall, should we do 10 to 15%, or should we say 15%?
Overall for the school, for which one, ELA
For
and
like
math?
math, I think.
Because we're saying 3% every year over 5 years. Different overall, do we just want to say 15, or should we give it a range?
If you,
At least 3%.
yeah, if
At
you keep
least
it at that,
3%.
if you keep it at that percentage though, the opportunity you have is with one group having a good year coming up.
Mhm.
Compared to another group who doesn't, you're still finding a way to meet that number and you can celebrate that. I'm just. it's
Yeah,
one
I
way
would
to
keep
look
the
at it.
total just because we also don't know how the demographics of the school are gonna change.
Correct.
Right, so we could have
It
much
gives you
more
some
of different
options.
subgroups over years, and so watching the total also still seems to make sense.
So what I hear is subgroup at 3%.
Mhm.
What I'm gonna push back on and say overall at 2%.
No, that seems right.
Because we'll
Yeah,
get to
just overall.
88 if
Yeah,
y'all
I
keep
know,
it at
I
the
know.
3%, and
It's a
I
lot.
just want to make it
I think
realistic.
your subgroup should be different than your overall.
I think the
But
subgroup
just
should.
like you were saying,
we will have
Once,
faster.
once you
Once
get
you get
higher
high
to
enough,
100%, it's
harder
very,
to
very
close
hard
it.
to make, yeah.
Awesome.
next.
Questions? No, principal report. Here's the enrollment question. This is as of 10 o'clock last night. 1192 is what it was at 10 o'clock last night. With those percentage breakdown, as you can see, we are still remaining at 51.6% gifted. Special education, 10.2%. EL is 3.8%, but that includes formally identified too, the monitored students. As you can see, so far so good with our CCR attendance rate hitting at 91.8%. Ended last year at 90.1%. Sixth grade, of course, is leading the charge. Eighth grade is second.
Could we then, if we add these goals, then get the report out on the subgroup data for attendance? If we add the goals, and then also could we get numbers for economically disadvantaged students at our schools?
I can get you subgroups.
If that's gonna be one of our goals, so that we could add that in.
Economically disadvantaged was not one of the
Not
subgroups
on
that
our
we.
No, 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 I'm just talking about data profiles, school data
You're
profiles.
saying for attendance in particular.
No, just overall, how many
How many?
students, I'm just talking about the population at our school.
I just didn't know how many total.
Yes.
I can ask.
Okay, fabulous.
What's going on?
Because we report out on other subgroups, but that group is not on here. in terms-
I think because that group is not as clear, it's easier to identify the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, they have to decide on, are they choosing free and reduced lunch or some other
And
metric?
traditionally, they don't.
Yeah.
Not
It
at our
depends on
school.
what you're talking about specifically. Certain things they do free and reduced lunch, other things they don't. So that makes it more difficult. Discipline, the Facebook groups and all, honesty, discipline. So here you go. This is our discipline breakdown so far this year. We had a lot of innuendos of having a lot of fighting, which as you can see is not necessarily the case. We've had 11 incidents.
And this 14F2 prohibited use of cell phone, is that new? Or is
Yes.
that is a new
That
item?
is
on
the
okay.
one that we are, once we take the phones up, we'll put it in IC so that I can keep track of which infraction number you're on, so we can know if we're saying you don't have your cell phone for the semester or whatever. So that is what that indicator is. I do want to point out, because that is there now when we did not used to track that.
Right.
That does change how you look at your number of incidents in total. So the incidents by student, that's still an incident, and therefore is influencing percentage of students without any incidents, or with 2 or 3 or 4 more. That would change that as well.
And that
By a
left-hand
lot.
column is end of year incident data, or was it at the similar, like first semester similar point?
Which one?
The 24, school year 24, 25?
End of year.
That's the end of year, okay.
Off the
But
top of
again,
your head, has the
you-
fighting gone down? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I said off the top of your head, has the fighting incidents gone down?
In comparison to this time last year?
Yeah, or even like when you first started.
Oh, when I first
yeah.
started, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think
Uh,
that's huge. I think 11 is, I think it's huge.
I was like, I don't,
You're in the middle of it.
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it's definitely gone down since I first started.
Yeah, the cell phones are.
The cell phones is influencing the percentage of incidents where we are to date.
And is cell phone include use of watches, use of AirPods, or is it just cell
It's
phone?
anything, anything.
Okay, so I'm just clarifying. So cell phone could be any device that's confiscated. It's not necessarily cell phone.
Correct.
Okay.
So we
But
should
I do want to point out that there are a subset of students who's hit it taking more than one, so they would be in the 2 or more
Right.
category. Like, I just wanted to point that out, that as we are monitoring this data point, which honestly, for middle school students, I don't think 87 is crazy. When we're finishing quarter one, but yeah,
I was gonna say, like, the two columns are apples to oranges.
correct.
And so we should expect that at the end of the year, actually, 25, 26, we're going to see more incidents at the end of the year for 25 and 26 probably than we did 24, 25, because there is this whole new category that didn't even exist of incidents around cell phones.
Correct.
But we're hoping cell phones will go down now, or like, we won't see as many.
Oh,
Are we
no,
still-
your babies are still young. Middle school children do not remember day to day, so I'm not necessarily expecting it to go either way. Right, I don't expect it to go either way. I do expect not to have a lot in 2 to 3 or 4, right? That would be a more realistic, but they don't.
It's a cultural shift.
Yeah.
So, and Midtown reported it out last year on how many of those 87 number are multiple uses.
I mean, we
Multiple
definitely can find
defendants,
that.
like 80, that would be great, meaning that there's like, that represents 20 kids, not 87 children. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or whatever the number is. Okay, 87 children.
No, I was just thinking it's probably
Or-
more like 87.
And
It's
even
more like maybe like, let's say 77.
or if there's grade
But hopefully they
Great
get the
data
first time
on
another
that.
Yeah, not many have it again,
Repeated.
but
Okay.
we
Good,
still have
good.
not had Christmas break, right? It's just like you have extended periods of time, you have to remind middle schoolers, because they're frontal lobe, remember it's not developed, you gotta remind them, these are the rules. Um,
New devices for Christmas.
yeah, that's the other thing. These are just some updates that I wanted to share. We have hired, I've recommended all 3 teachers. I'll say it that way. I'm still looking for an hourly reading for 8th grade, but our teacher tutor is doing it and she's certified and it's fine. It's just I can't push her into other spaces because that's what she's doing. And I am looking for a special education paraprofessional. We did offer and they accepted, then declined. I have onboarded. We now have 4 custodians and the building looks so much better. Look at the teachers saying yes. It just looks amazing. I had to argue for that. And we are onboarding our second, I said SELF, but they call them ELTs now. Our second special education lead teacher is onboarding this week. So I'm excited about that because that will give us some help with having 5 regional unit classrooms plus all of our interrelated students. Our 6th grade team has already started. Half of them have gone to their first STEAM field trip. This month, I think 7th grade is going somewhere. Next month. Okay, I think y'all going to aquarium this month. But so the experiences are starting and we think that's important, and just trying to get people to pay their fees, especially because I heard elementary field trip fees are much more expensive.
They are $75.
It's
Per
good, it's
kid.
good because it's the beginning of the year hit. So you
Plus
just
on top of
pay
that, you get
for
gate field trip as well. You have to pay for. So
So I'm just asking for $25.
at VHU it's 75.
Well, I think most of our feeder elementary is about that. We are having issues with Master Connect, and I'll go into that in the next slide. We're looking for an alternative to using Master Connect.
And what is Mastery Connect, just so people who,
it is the assessment platform.
that's used for all core subjects or what subjects?
All core in general. ELA use HMH.
We did this past test, but it's Master Connect. and support multiple.
Mhm.
Is it a school selected solution or a district selected solution?
All districts.
Okay.
So we're looking for a school solution. And we talked about behavior. And we're in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Spirit Week. No, you want to go back?
After you're done with that.
Okay.
Yep.
We started that today. And last week we started putting things in our morning announcements because we finally launched that. But we're putting fun facts in the morning announcements. And then we have Spirit Week. Today we had a STEAM and Hispanic Heritage thing Ms. Nolan is representing. And then Wednesday we're doing the student assembly for Spirit Week, or for the month actually.
Question for you regarding the first section. Thank you so much for sending out that information regarding the staffing and leveling and doing that appropriately. So can you tell us what classes were added, what grades were added? And then you said that I guess that question first.
2 6th grade classes and 1 8th grade class.
And all 3 teachers are now in the process of finishing their onboard?
Yes.
Hopefully.
And
Right, yeah,
That's always
control.
fun.
And we're hoping that they finish that this week, and then the students would see them, if that process all finished, the students would see them in class as soon as,
Students have seen them all.
when would they start teaching every day?
They have been teaching every day.
Oh, so they're already in, but haven't finished their onboarding.
Correct.
Okay.
That was easy. In the last meeting, we discussed the 7th grade question from the parent, and it was asked to show the data. And I think this becomes a question of what, was being discussed before. Is it a cohort to cohort situation, or is it year to year in that grade level? And so if you look year over year, that's the data you see at the top. And so that would support what was stated in the meeting last week. If you look cohort to cohort, which is what you see at the bottom, then the students actually did better.
So we saw approximately 8% decline in
Beginning,
from 6th grade to 7th grade.
correct.
Any questions?
And just looking at the Hispanic group too, that's a 16% decline of beginning proficient.
Yeah.
From 6 to 7.
And then what if we broke down the attendance?
I will say overall, as you saw in the previous slide, it was like 74%
Right.
of the students were here 90% of the time.
That made a difference.
Does. We had an increase in percentage for Hispanic students of about 10-13%.
That's great.
That's
To
awesome.
88% here 90% of the time, and it's evident in the data.
That's
So.
amazing.
So this is the Master Connect and the issues that we've seen more so in math, because ELA is using the curriculum platform and not Master Connect. And so that's the only reason why you're not seeing it in ELA, the issues. Yes, I know you hit part. Yeah, I know the whole class disappeared one day and came back the next day. So we're working through these issues and working around these issues by getting our own. I try to give a good attempt at using what the district has provided. So I try not to use our school funds in that way if the district is providing a solution. I don't think that's being responsible to taxpaying dollars if I don't. But we're at a quarter in, and these are the problems that we do not necessarily feel there is an adequate solution using Mastery Connect, even though they are still working on it. Who knows? That might be May.
So you're,
But one thing I do know is the student view or the student portal is not active. And they're supposed to be activating it this week, next week, should be activated for the students to see their portal and Mastery Connect when they get back.
And this is happening to probably all the
District-wide.
areas. Okay.
so what you said you have a solution.
We're going back to one of our former assessment platforms. We are working together to see which one is going to give us the most bang for our buck, because I'm not buying all three,
Okay.
because that's what we've done in the past. So we're probably leaning towards formative right now, which everybody has used and they're okay with it. But we're still getting information from the vendors before we make that determination. Hopefully we'll be done gathering information by the end of the week.
And that will be for all 4 core subjects?
It's for our school.
Okay, and then will the students have access to see their test results and or parents have access to what we all are looking for is what is?
The students will have access because they've used it before and they've
Okay.
seen it. Yeah.
I just meant, will that be unlocked? Because some classes it's unlocked, some classes it wasn't unlocked in the past. So.
It was unlocked in the past for a period of time, not indefinitely. So once they come back and use it and look at it, it's unlocked. And then it gets locked so that it's just not available for everybody, but they have both used it. And
I know for some classes, for my daughter, it was unlocked for some classes and wasn't unlocked. So it was like teacher dependent and class dependent.
it is.
So will that be?
For math last year, we created a protocol for all grade levels in terms of when a quiz was unlocked for view, when it was.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we'll establish that again.
For all grades?
For math, I can speak to
Yes.
math, but we
Oh,
can,
okay.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, that would be wonderful. If,
All right.
if parents could see that form.
And then our next principal coffee is coming up next week. After we come back from the break, is before the 8th grade families. And then the next one that we will be doing will be virtual. It will be November 13th. And then you can talk about facilities and we can go home.
So we have another meeting this week. They surprised us with an extra meeting about 2 weeks ago, the task force, which they provided new scenarios. For our cluster, it didn't change, but they are, I would say, getting more clear publicly on what we're looking at as a cluster. What we're looking at is an addition and is the scenario. So the and is looking at potentially other innovative, more innovative solutions, which we've been doing the last couple of years. And those conversations would need to start ASAP because they're planning for next year and there's going to be more students. Innovative solutions can be anything like buying smaller desks, which we've done, taking away C-Day, shortening lunch, adding periods
They've
in
done
between
the shortening
classes.
lunch
These are all
this year.
things that they've, yep.
No, I'm just saying
Oh,
they
and
did that
again,
one this year.
Sections of classes have gone away, removing some classes, pushing kids to dual enrollment, early release, late arrival, which historically that was only available to seniors and then it was offered to juniors. Now you get a letter as a junior parent encouraging it. That's where we're at right now. So there is a survey of the updated scenarios that you need to give feedback on. This is still looking for information and feedback and is supposed to be shaped. I did express concern and have numerous times about Howard, the potential of us getting closer to that over-enrolled number. I think when I looked at the enrollment, which you gave me one of the days of the meetings, we're like at 88% capacity, which at that 90% trigger, as this policy reads now, you would no longer accept admin transfers, but I think you only did 10.
I don't do that many anyway.
Right, so that is not a real change for us. So the thing that I asked is that means then regional units will shift out that those classes then get adopted or other innovative.
You're off. Yeah.
Oh, that might be. Go ahead.
Oh, the
Okay.
YouTube.
So did express concerns about that at there was a Go Team meeting, which everybody was invited to last Thursday. And anything else? Oh, so our next public meeting is October 20th. Push out the survey to people and just let them know it's addition and. So start asking, especially middle school and elementary school parents need to really start asking questions and start to get involved in what this looks like.
Because it will more likely affect
Kids that are in
current
middle,
sixth grade.
well, all the ones that are coming up. Because we've kind of
Yes.
run
yes.
out of
It won't affect the juniors,
in seniors.
seniors, maybe sophomores, depending on when they start.
The 50, we asked about the addition. How would that look in terms of, they talked about potentially a phased in. So how would it impact the day-to-day? We haven't gotten a lot of details around that. And I don't know if there's anything else. Funding wise, I'm just gonna add this in. CAT meeting has not met yet. But I did talk to Principal Hollis about last year during the funding process. We did, Shalonda met with you, I believe, Sophianos, who is our cluster superintendent, and Lisa Bracken. We asked that to be more of a proactive situation. We just got back our leveling numbers. Howard is the lowest per pupil funded middle school and the largest under one roof middle school. It is, Midtown is also the lowest now per pupil funded high school, the second largest
High school.
high school. They are both sit on the smallest acreage and smallest properties. Then 3 of our elementary schools, Morningside is the lowest funded elementary school per pupil. Under one roof, it is the largest. Morris Brandon is the next largest, but that sits on 2 properties. Then it's Mary Lynn for the second lowest per pupil, and then Virginia Highlands, and then Morris Brandon's after that. So that is across the entire district. So we have asked with Principal Hollis to meet with Cluster Superintendent Sophianos and Lisa Bracken. And I've asked Sudi as a staff representative and as the vice chair to join in that meeting to have proactive conversations in these funding for next year to help us move these needle and provide the staff with the resources they need to close the gaps. Questions about that?
No, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
And then, so
Yeah.
we will report, I did just finally get back a response and we're trying to set a date on that today, so. I don't think there's anything else. I don't think so. Do you have anything else? Motion to adjourn the meeting? I don't think there is anything else. Thank you. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Fabulous. That's it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jenny.